Good afternoon. Welcome to our monthly Cybersecurity for Small Business webinar. I'm Paul Johnson. I'm the program manager. We have a couple of guest experts here today who are also on our staff, Marree Reed and Ian Moon. We're focusing today, this is not going to be a standard PowerPoint slide deck presentation. This is going to be more of a demonstration today to cover some settings for Outlook and Windows 11 to increase your cybersecurity profile. So Ian and Marree are going to walk us through those. Before I throw it to them, though, I'll throw out my monthly reminder that we are funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration, hosted by the University of Wyoming for our cybersecurity program. I hesitated there for a little minute because we are presented by the Wyoming Small Business Development Center, which is funded by the U.S. SBA and the Wyoming Business Council and hosted at the University of Wyoming. We are located statewide for no-cost confidential advising on any small business topic. This program just focuses on cybersecurity, but our regular advising focuses on all small business topics, including market research and government contracting. So you can find us at wyomingsbdc.org to find an advisor in your area or to look into government contracting or market research for you. All of our services are no cost and confidential. So with that, Marree is going to talk about Outlook cybersecurity settings and show us some things you can do to tighten up your cyber readiness in your email program. So Marree, all yours.
All right, thanks, Paul. So today, for my portion, we're going to be focusing entirely on free Outlook accounts. You don't need Microsoft 365 or any paid subscriptions to follow along. Everything I'm showing today is available to anyone using Outlook on your browser or the app. However, if you do have Microsoft 365, then additional features will be available to you, like email encryption, advanced security, and Copilot integration. As always, you can choose to implement some, all, or none of these changes recommended today. It all depends on what works best for you and your business. So before we change anything, let's look at how your account can be accessed. So for this demonstration, I'm just going to be using the browser edition. You're just going to click on your initials right here and click My Microsoft Account. I already have it open here on a tab. You'll see different ways Microsoft can verify it's you if you click Manage How I Sign In. Oh, and you can see I have the Authenticator app. Give me 1 second here. Okay, wonderful. So you'll see different ways that Microsoft can verify it's you, such as your password, an email, or the Authenticator app. If you want to change or add any sign-in verification options, you would just select this Add Another Way to Sign Into Your Account, and it gives you some options here. Think of each sign-in option as a door into your account. Our goal is to make those doors strong and remove any that aren't necessary. So let's look at adding two-factor authentication or a passwordless option. So we're still under security, and this will be located under additional security. Right here, you'll see the option to turn on two-step verification. This means that even if someone gets your password, they still cannot sign in without a second approval. When you select to turn on two-step verification, it'll walk you through how to set this up. You may also see the option for the passwordless account, and that's for a passwordless sign-in using the Microsoft Authenticator app. This removes the password entirely and relies on your device instead. And I set this up yesterday for my account, and setting this up on the Authenticator app was really easy. It's recommended to utilize one of these options because this dramatically reduces the risk of account takeover, which is one of the most common attacks against small businesses. If you want to read more about these additional security measures, then these links right here are pretty informative. Finally, let's talk about the recovery code. At the bottom of this page, there's this recovery code option. This code is what allows you to get back into your account if you lose access to your phone or the Authenticator app. So you're just going to generate that code and you store it somewhere secure, such as a password manager or a locked physical location. Do not store it in your email. So next, let's look at visibility. So from the security tab again, I'm just going to click on View My Sign-In Activity. Here you can see recent sign-ins, including locations and devices. If you ever see a location or device you don't recognize, this is a warning sign. This feature acts as an early alert system that lets you respond before damage is done. If a sign-in does look unfamiliar, immediately take steps to secure your account, like changing your password and signing out everywhere. You can sign out on all your devices by going back to Security, Manage how I sign in, scroll down here to sign out everywhere, and you're just going to click that link. So now let's switch to privacy. So from privacy, select this privacy checkup. This walks you through key data, sharing settings, and it's step-by-step on how best to secure your account. It's the easiest place to start if you've never reviewed your privacy options. Some of these privacy settings are not Outlook specific, but it's a good idea to browse through them and get familiar with how your data is handled. So location data can reveal patterns about your daily habits. You can always edit these settings by clicking the link and locating the right tutorial. I'll show you right here. So either of these tutorials, it just depends on what operating system you're using. Reducing stored location data lowers your overall exposure if your account is ever compromised. Next, browsing and search. Now this is specific to Microsoft Edge, and this shows activity that helps personalize your experience, but it also creates a detailed usage record. You can review and clear this data at any time, but as I said, this is only if you use Microsoft Edge as your preferred browser. If you use a different browser, then you'll need to change those settings directly from that specific browser. And now let's look at apps and services. This shows third-party apps connected to your Microsoft account. If you see anything you don't recognize or no longer use, remove it. Old app connections are a common but overlooked risk. And spelling and text, these features may analyze what you type to improve suggestions. If you prefer not to have text analyzed, you can turn these features off. And if you select this no data, it'll give you some links for tutorials that you can walk through and find out how to turn that data off. Next, let's look at app access. This controls which apps have access to your Microsoft account data. Remove any apps you no longer trust or use ones that you don't recognize. All right, and people suggestions. This feature uses interaction patterns to suggest contacts. If you prefer left profile, you can disable this option right here. You can see that I had it off, and then that's just how you toggle it off. And now, so the search and news personalization, this is also specific to Microsoft Edge users. Personalization is convenient, but it relies on tracking. So you can turn this feature off to reduce data collection without affecting core email functionality. And once again, this is specific to Microsoft Edge users. If you're using a different browser, then you would adjust those settings from your browser directly. And Copilot. This is where you can manage your Copilot activity if it's connected to your account via browser or app. But I do want to point out, if you do use Copilot in your browser, like shown here, you can manage your settings by clicking your initial right here, going to settings, privacy, and then you can edit your settings from here. I also want you to check out the memory setting, and you can toggle off or on, and also your connectors. So here you can have various connectors. You can even connect to your Outlook account. Change settings and add connectors to your comfort level. Now let's look at add settings right here. So your personalization settings, you can turn off your personalization ads and review promotional email preferences. This reduces how your activity is used for advertising and limits unnecessary messages. So this is right here is where you can toggle that on or off to your comfort level. So now let's move inside the inbox. When you receive a suspicious email, right-click that email, and from here you can select report. So you report it as junk, phishing, or report a concern. And you can also move this email directly into your junk email. You can also move it directly into your email from that section. So let's say if I want to do that, move to a different folder, select this junk email, and then I'll move it directly to your junk email. Reporting emails helps improve filtering and protect other users. Now let's look at our junk email settings. I'm just going to click this icon right here. And you can confirm that junk filtering is on. This is Outlook's first line of defense against spam and phishing. You can adjust how aggressive you want to be with your email filtering. You can also review your blocked senders list to make sure nothing legitimate was added by mistake. You can also review your safe senders list, but only add senders you fully trust. Adding too many senders here can weaken your protection. From a cybersecurity perspective, these settings control how aggressively Outlook filters email before it reaches your inbox. And while we're in here, let's look at forwarding and IMAP. Make sure forwarding is turned off unless you intentionally use it. Attackers often enable forwarding so they can silently monitor messages. Another place to check is your rules. Delete any rules you do not recognize. Attackers will typically set up rules to automatically forward emails to external addresses, move messages to junk folders to evade detection, or delete emails regarding security changes. Outlook also includes a feature called Smart Suggestions, which may suggest quick replies, meeting responses, or text based on the content of your email. To review settings, go to Outlook Settings, Mail, and then Smart Suggestions, like I clicked on. And then from a cybersecurity perspective, Smart Suggestions works by analyzing email content to generate recommendations. While this can improve efficiency, some users prefer to limit automated content analysis. That's how you just turn that off. If you're uncomfortable with automated messages, you can turn this feature off. Disabling it does not affect your ability to send or receive email. It simply reduces automated text analysis within your inbox. And before I wrap up, I want to point out some attachment and links best practices. You should never open an attachment with the ending of .exe, .bat, .com, or .scr from your inbox. These are actual programs that can run on your computer. .zip or .rar or RAR files can also hide malicious code, so be cautious when opening them. Be wary of attachments that you are not expecting. For links, avoid clicking on them immediately. Instead, hover over the link and inspect the URL. Does it have some spelling mistakes, or is it just going somewhere unfamiliar? This also goes for the sender's email address. Is it legitimate? As a general rule, try not to click links directly from emails when you don't have to. Instead, open a new browser window and go straight to the company's website itself. A good example is your bank. If you get an email about your account, don't click the link. Type the bank's website into your browser and log in that way. I understand that sometimes clicking a link is unavoidable, especially with shared documents or collaboration tools. In those cases, pause for a moment and make sure you're expecting it and that it looks legitimate before you open it. Security and privacy don't require advanced tools or paid software. By using strong sign-in options, reviewing privacy settings, and paying attention to what happens in your inbox, you can significantly reduce risk, even with free email tools. Everything we covered today is available in free Outlook accounts and can be set up in just a few minutes. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Ian will be covering some Windows 11 security.
Thank you, Marree. So first off, I'm going to be going through the process of creating a local account on a Windows 11 computer. So for the first demonstration, I'm going to show this from first installation of a new Windows computer. So the process of making a local account will start with picking your region and country, picking your keyboard, skipping any additional keyboard layouts, and then we'll get to this point. Now, since this virtual machine that I'm running this in is not connected to the internet, I have the option of saying I do not have internet, which will then allow me to create a local account for my Windows 11 by simply typing in my name, clicking next, and then putting in a password. Now, for an already set up Windows 11 system, if you want to create a local account or turn your current account into a local account, you go to Settings, you go to Accounts. For an already created account, go to Local Info, Account Settings, and here mine says local account, but if yours doesn't, you'll have an option to click here that says Stop signing in with Microsoft, and that will turn your current account into a local account. In addition to that, if you want to set up a new account that is a local account, you need to make sure that your internet is turned off, and I mean fully turned off. This computer cannot have access to the internet in order to avoid the process of going into Microsoft and signing in with a Microsoft account. So then you would go to Other Users, Add Account. It will load up this, and you'll be able to put in a new name, password, and set up a brand new account. So why would we want to do this? It's more just to create a safe point to make sure there isn't another point of failure in the cloud. So that way, not many people have access to your information, in addition to making sure that Microsoft doesn't have access to any personal or trade secrets that you may or may not have. So moving on to some privacy and security stuff for Windows 11, we want to make sure that a lot of our security is turned on. So starting off with Windows Security, we'll go in here and we'll see that we have virus and threat, account protection, firewall, app and browser, and device security. So starting off in virus and threat protection, we'll open up Windows Security, and we'll see that we have no current threats, virus and threat protection. We're going to go into Manage Settings, make sure real-time protection, dev drive protection, cloud delivery protection, and tamper protection are all turned on. Automatic sample submission doesn't necessarily need to be turned off. It's just a case of making sure that all the files that you are sharing with Microsoft at some point don't end up having any personal information. So this can either be turned on or off, up to your own discretion. Moving on to ransomware protection. In here, we want to make sure that controlled folder access is turned on. So that way we know who's accessing everything and how everything is being accessed on the computer. We can check our block history to see who has recently tried to access files without our permission, as well as selecting protected folders. We can add protected folders here by going through any of the additional ones here in order to make sure that only the administrator of the device can have access to those folders. Going back, we now have account protection. This will open back up. Now, this is mostly complaining because we do not have a Microsoft account associated with this device. So that can be chosen to sign in with a Microsoft account, again, up to your own discretion. We also have dynamic locking settings. This will basically make it so that way you can allow Windows to automatically lock the device when you're away. This is mostly whenever you have it put to sleep, but it's much better to have it set up so that way you, if you have screensaver turned on, which apparently that is not there, just to make sure that whenever you walk away from your computer, always have a screensaver and require a password. So that way, in case you leave it alone for a time, you can always come back to it and no one can access it because they haven't typed in your password. And then for firewall and security protection, we have firewall enabled for both domain, private, and public networks. This is just how we make sure that no malicious access can be granted to our system at any given time, and to make sure that no arbitrary execution of files can be done. Then we have app and browser protection. We can turn on smart app protection, basically allow Windows to make sure that only the permitted apps that are approved can execute on a system. So it should help reduce any potential accidental execution of any exe, RAR, BAT files that may have accidentally gotten installed onto the computer, but it's still best to make sure that you're not downloading any of those as well. We can also turn on reputation-based protection. This is an additional layer of the same protection. So by clicking, okay, need to go into here. So we can have Microsoft Defender's Smart Screen check to make sure the apps are recognized and are safe, as well as enable it for Edge in case we're using that. We can also go down here and turn on phishing protection, so that way we can make sure that no random websites that we're accessing is getting onto our system. And we also have it so that way we have potential unwanted app blocking. So we'll block any downloads that we potentially have. We can also block any apps just in case if anything gets fully installed. For Smart Screen, it's best to have this turned on, just that way nothing outside of the Microsoft Store, unless given your express permission, can have access to what you're doing on your system. Going into device security, the majority of this should be turned on by default, and there's not really much that we need to do. The only thing that it's complaining about here is device encryption, and the only reason why it's complaining about that is because, again, we do not have a Microsoft account linked to this account right now. But at any point, if you want to set up your Microsoft account for this Windows device, you can. It will not revoke your local user account, but it will gain you more access to certain other things that Microsoft has available. Now, for this next demonstration, I'm going to enable my internet, and I'm going to be downloading 2 bits of software that can help to both optimize the performance of Windows 11 as well as help reduce a lot of the potential issues that Microsoft Copilot can have. So starting off, I'm going to open up a web browser, these links will be provided at the end through the chat. I'm going to go to GitHub and look up Windows 11 Debloat. This is a bit of first one-time use software that helps to reduce a lot of the unneeded apps in Microsoft, as well as a lot of the additional tracking software that we have access to. So this is still a little bit advanced, but it has become a lot easier to use in recent times. So depending on your comfort level with both using either the PowerShell or the terminal as an administrator, you can either choose to ignore this or follow through with it. So following this, I'm going to click this button here to copy this. I'm then going to go down here into the search bar, into the start menu, and then type in PowerShell. I'm going to right click and run as administrator. Click yes. It will load me into here. And I will go ahead and paste the command that I got from GitHub, press return, and it will start to download the Windows 11 Debloat system. It will now run the program, and here we are. So I'm going to just run through the default system of running this because this is what's best for both getting rid of a lot of the unneeded software on Windows 11, as well as optimizing security and performance for the operating system. So this will go through and it will disable a lot of unneeded applications, old stuff like Farmville and TikTok, and a couple of other applications that don't really need. This will also disable Microsoft Copilot for the most part. It does not remove it. This will just simply make it so like Copilot is not going to be attached to everything on your system, but it will still be there. It will also disable any telemetry tracking and targeted ads. It will disable certain widgets in the taskbar and lock screen, disable tips and tricks on the lock screen, disable tips and tricks and suggestions through the windows, file suggestion. It will also show file extension types. This is important so we know what every file on our system is potentially, because there are ways of hiding specific files like the etc.bat, .rar extensions. So this will also help security there. It will also disable the monitor standby network connectivity. So that way, if you just have your computer in sleep mode, it will not just have constant connection to the internet at any given time. We'll also go ahead and make sure that this is just applied to current user. You can also set this up for other users or set this up as the default for every user on this system. And for the remove apps, as it said, like up here, it's going to remove 89 applications. We can choose to remove that for all users or just our current user. And then this is important. It creates a system restore point. So that way, in case anything that you needed does get removed, you can return to the point before you ran the system in order to get back into all your security and make sure that you have everything back to where it was. So now if I click apply changes, it will run through everything and start to attempt to remove and create a restore point for everything. So I'll let that run as it goes. The next bit here is the remove Windows AI. So this is the one that I will not be demonstrating, as it will take a long time. Unlike with Windows 11 Debloat, it will be done here in about now. So now I can put Windows 11 Debloat, and now we're done. So same thing with the remove Windows 11 AI. I go to this GitHub link, and this explains through what a lot of it does. Now, this is the one that I would recommend a little bit more, simply because of the certain levels of access that Windows 11 Copilot has to a lot of things on the system. And what this one will do is it will completely disable anything that is related to Copilot, including recall, which is Microsoft's system of taking screenshots of your device and archiving it in a system in a less than secure way, so you can have access to it at any given point. So this one is a lot more aggressive at removing it and disabling everything. And again, same way, in a PowerShell with administrative access, I would click on this button here, click on this button here, go back into here, paste it, and then run it. I'm not going to, because this one takes a much longer time to run, but this is just a great way to help make sure that there's no basic access that Copilot can be granted, as most recently we had a situation where, because of Copilot's addition to Notepad, it allowed specific arbitrary execution of code that could compromise systems. But again, this is all a recommendation. You do not have to follow it. So finalizing here, I will show off one of the things that Windows 11 Debloat did do, is that it went through all the Windows permissions here, just like you saw with Marree in Copilot, or in Office 365. It disabled a whole bunch of tracking software, as well as making sure that nothing in here can build a profile on you, and Microsoft and anyone else who could potentially get access to this device would not have a profile on you. And with that, that's all I have. I will be sending the links to the websites I showed here, and I will hand it back off to Paul and Marree to finish this.
All right, thank you both, Ian and Marree. Ian, before you turn off your microphone, if you do either of those two plugins or whatever that you were just demonstrating, when Windows does an update, will it try to reinstall those AI and Copilot features?
It can. Occasionally, I have, in my own personal experience, it has struggled to reinstall them. So it's best practice to, after every update, to potentially go back and just rerun it again, because you never know. Microsoft's coming up with new ways to sneak in Copilot and a lot of these other AI software into their systems.
Yeah, which is why we did this today. Is Windows has never been a lean, mean operating system. It's always been about bloat, and now with the AI components that it's sticking into all of its applications, there's more potential for, as Ian said, Microsoft to create a more complete profile of you as a user. So we're not promoting or condoning any of these tools. We're just presenting these as options and something for you to investigate on your own. Like, you may not be used to opening up PowerShell and running scripts in there, but I think Ian did a good demo of how kind of easy it is now to do that. So I would say do your own research on these tools, and this will be available as a recording. We stepped through a lot of things really quickly today, and once you get the link to the recording, if you want to walk through any of these settings on your own, you can start and stop that recording while you go through some of these screens along with what Ian and Marree presented. And also, if you want some personal help with any of this stuff, please reach out. You can get in contact with me by email. And our cybersecurity program, offers one-on-one advising for situational topics or for complete cybersecurity readiness programs for your small business. If you are interested in our cybersecurity program offerings that are of no cost to you, please get in touch with me and I'd be glad to walk you through the program that we can help you put together, including personnel and administrative policies and incident response plans, and a general inventory of your hardware and digital assets to see where your cyber readiness needs are, and we can help you mitigate those. And with that, I will thank you, Ian and Marree, for all that information today, to all the people on the line. And of course, get in touch with me if you have any questions, and we will help you out as best as we can. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Thanks for Kaylee running the technology in the background here, and our presenters again, Ian and Marree. And we will see you next month, hopefully. Thanks again. Everybody have a great afternoon.